It's time to go hunting.
We've turned our backs on our regular jobs and attempted to carve out a new living by buying and selling cheap cars.
Okay, this is filming.
Morning.
Morning. And this is recording. Right, so this is me, and look.
This is me, and I'm just marvelling at the beautiful Somerset view with the rolling hills that we have tumbling off in that direction over there, which is towards the Mendips.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful morning. It's my turn to present. We're podcasting again with the option of arm's length videoing of me and Will,
which is not like professional videoing. It's just so you get an idea of where we are, so you can see a little bit of what's happening.
Although I am a professional, highly tuned. So it's my turn. It's my turn to. It's my turn to present a car today, and I'm very excited because this is the first time that one of our listeners has asked if we wanted to see a car.
Yeah, which is also even more exciting because we've come to a lovely area, and just at the last minute, Gus pointed out to me that, hey, the guy that owns this car happens to know you from your school days.
I know, isn't that weird? He didn't tell me until I spoke to him on the phone last night, and he said, "You know, I know Will, don't you?" I said, "No, I don't know that at all." So that was a surprise. And they hadn't fallen out, which was great.
Yeah,
they were still mates.
And a wonderful little trip down memory lane.
Yeah. So neither of us have seen this car. It's in the garage.
Right over there. I now see it underneath the blue cover.
No, I'm going to explain to everybody that I know what this car is because I've been talking to Matt. And you don't know what it is.
I don't have a clue.
And it's here. And let's see if they can guess. Can you see what it is? Oh, it's a bit bright, isn't it? Let me see. I'm putting the camera in. You know, I'd say that was very difficult. Although I can see on the wall lots of things that give it away.
Well, that might not give it away. I mean, there is a wing on the wall over there, which is quite nondescript in what it is from this distance away.
I couldn't tell you which way around. Oh, yes, I can tell you which way around.
Okay, so my first thoughts are, I can see that this is a very square car.
It's a very square car.
Which would sort of indicate to me that it's something from the 1970s.
Oh, I can see. Look, look. You can
see just through the cover. Yeah. Okay. You can see the letters that stand for fix or repair daily. It's the acronym for Ford.
This is Will's personal opinion. It's got nothing to do with me. The reason I love this car, I'm telling you now before you get it out, is because when we were kids, this is what we used to drive around in. Yeah. This is what we drove everywhere in, with a boat on the back and the dogs in the boot.
What, you as a family?
Yeah, this was our family car, all the way through the. Go on.
Oh no, I've worked out exactly what it is.
Come on, let's take it off. What do you reckon it is then?
It's a Ford Cortina.
It's a Ford Cortina.
Which is one of my favourite Fords. This model, I don't know if it's facelift or non-facelift.
Well, should we take it off?
Starting at the back or the front?
Oh, okay. Start at the front. Might as well. I don't know if it's the facelift version or not.
That's a long way under, isn't it?
Oh, that is a long way. It's a very good cover. That's a quality item, that cover, isn't it?
No, cover.
Oh my goodness! Oh, it's in metallic brown, everybody.
Oh, yeah,
it is in metallic brown.
Look at that!
Wow, that's got some patina on it, hasn't it?
Has, yeah. So,
do you say patina or patina?
See, I like patina.
I like patina because, like I've explained to you before, I used to have a girlfriend called Patina.
Did you? Yeah. I never had a girlfriend called Patina. So let's go with patina.
No. It's great, isn't it? So that camera. Let's just. It's a GLX, GLX Mark III Cortina. So it's W red.
In its original brown, it looks like it's just time travelled from the tail end of the 70s, because this car's got some wear and tear. There's probably bits of rust.
K72. Sorry, it's this. I'm batting in, but I was looking at the wrong end of the number plate. But it's K reg, so it's 1972, isn't it? So this is right at the beginning. 72 was the first year.
This is the quad headlights. pre-facelift.
Oh,
it's the best looking one they did.
It's great, isn't it?
Mate, it is.
And it's got. So I'm speechless because I'm so excited. But it's got matte brown, quite lumpily painted, but matte brown wings.
Yeah.
It's got the original paint job is metallic. It looks rough, but it looks solid. I would say.
I would say, top side of this car. I mean, okay, I'm with you, Gus. I'm so excited. I almost don't know what to. I'm genuinely excited. This is a car from my childhood.
Yeah.
My next door neighbours had one of these with the quad headlights.
Yeah.
My best friend, one of his first cars was with a yellow one of these. He used to call it the yellow peril.
Yeah, ours was yellow. Daytona yellow. It was called.
And that car was so rusty. It hardly made it around corners without twisting, bending, flexing, and large bits falling off.
But this is exotic. This was exotic, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, like you say, they've all rotted away. There's no doubt about that. Which means the ones that are left actually have a worth. But this was an exotic car, wasn't it?
It was,
especially the GLX.
It was the American-looking car. That really sort of stamped its ground in the UK at the time. It's like, you want an American-looking car? Here you go. This is Ford's latest edition.
Well, this was very much Ford trying to do that sort of global car thing, because this was the same as the Taunus, wasn't it? This was in Europe. This was called a Taunus, and they were the same car, and it was Ford trying to make this sort of one world car. And let's not forget that what was before this, the Mark II Cortina was thought of as being very sporty, wasn't it? It was the car that turned Ford's prospects,
the
really, didn't
Lotus
it?
Cortina.
Well, they did a Mark 1 Lotus Cortina.
I'm not really a Ford boffin, so if I get things wrong, Gus, I do apologise now.
I don't think I'm going to be able to correct you, but I just remember as a kid, and this you might not remember this because I'm a lot older than you, but there was an advert of John Cleese hitting a Mark II Ford Cortina on the wing with a sledgehammer. Because people used to think that Fords were tinny. So he did this thing saying, it's made of proper steel. And it was just him hitting it with a sledgehammer. But it turned their fortunes around,
I've never seen that.
And they were massive.
I've seen the one where he hits the car with a gives a damn good thrashing with a stick.
Yeah, obviously the 1100, wasn't it?
Yeah. different day.
But what I'm saying is that these... So when Ford... So the 72, this is first year of Series 3. And this was a big thing for Ford because the Mark II Cortina was a massive seller. I think 1 in 3 or 1 in 6 people who bought a car bought one of these in 1972, 73.
That's amazing, isn't it? Because this is the next Cortina. The Mark II, they've got the Mark III.
Yeah.
Those two cars, if you put them side by side, they're literally worlds apart,
yes,
aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. They're very different. Very brave. Very brave thing to do.
You're going from, quite a small, Mark II Cortina, which was easy to make, really hot, really fast, and all of that sort of stuff.
It had all that going for it. That was the public perception of that car, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, that's how I see it, remember it, have heard about it, what I've gleaned over the years. This is like an American lead sled. Yeah, it's a much bigger car. Yeah, it's a squarer car. Yeah, it doesn't. The only way it looks hot is it looks a little bit like Starsky and Hutch. It looks a little bit Dukes of Hazzard. It looks a little bit.
It's got that American muscle car, isn't it? They called it the Coke bottle design, didn't they?
I'll call it mini muscle.
I'm not sure what the Coke bottle is. It this rear haunch? Is that what they talk about on
I don't know. Do you know that's not a thing? Oh, I know what it'll be. It'll be these turnouts here where the lights are.
Well, maybe, yeah. It's
not a saying I've ever heard.
It's how this design is referred to.
Is it?
Yeah.
Coke bottle.
Yeah, I think it must be this.
Well, it's
this
not because it's slim. Maybe it's slim in the middle.
Maybe.
I see what you mean. Oh no, stand down. You stand on your rear corner.
Yeah, you can see it.
Down the line, you've got the haunch.
Yeah, it goes in, down, and then back out again.
On the front wings.
Yeah.
So the line of the car is bulgy over the rear wheels, slim towards the centre of the car,
and then out again.
Flaring back up and out.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
It's interesting. Do you know what this so this is a GLX. GLX was the pinnacle. It had everything on it. It had all the power, all the goodies.
Yeah.
But monikers that Ford gave to their cars is like it's not like the class system in the UK, but it's like a barometer of the middle class system in the UK, isn't it? So you had your L, which was the base standard luxury. You had your GL, which was Grand Lux. You had your GLX, which was Grand Extra Luxury, and you had your GT, which was just for the races. You know?
So you can see it, can't you? The car's parts in the factory car park.
Exactly. So
working up to, you know, the boss. Where the nameplate is on the parking spot saying the boss.
Yeah.
You know, the GSXL would be in that bay
with your vinyl.
Yeah.
See, our estate we had when we were kids was a GLX estate with a vinyl roof. Big old vinyl roof, Daytona yellow. Drove like a boat in the end because we used to carry the boat trailer everywhere with it. So it was always at that angle with the front poking up.
So the rear springs are completely flattened out.
Shot. Yeah. But it was an amazing car. I learned to drive in it, in actual fact.
Did you?
Yeah, my mum taught me. My dad and I, we were not good in the car together, so my mum taught me how to drive. She had the patience of a saint. She was absolutely brilliant.
I think it's got to be very difficult for any parent teaching their favourite or least favourite child how to.
What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying I don't think I was top of the list of favourites in my family.
I definitely wasn't either.
You know, I refer to myself, not you.
But it was a great car, although it was a big car to learn in. It was a great car to learn in because it turned on a sixpence.
Yeah.
And it was so light
to
steer, and
they were using McPherson struts.
They were.
Yeah,
it was a well proportioned, well balanced car.
Hold on.
No, let's not go there. Let's get to that, shall we?
No, bollocks. Forget that McPherson strut bit. Come out from the edit.
The original. I thought the original ones were. I thought the later ones weren't, but I thought the original ones were. They certainly at some point they were.
No, I think it was after this the McPherson strut came in.
Oh, really?
This is still coil springs and wishbones.
Double wishbones on the front.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I was wrong, and I don't want that to go in.
So we have a brown metallic brown, which I think is the standard colour, isn't it? This bit and the scuttle and the doors.
It's
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's cool now.
Yeah,
and it was cool then.
And a big period in between.
There was a tremendous amount of time where that was literally the worst colour in the world.
Yeah,
and this one's what's really amazes me about this one is it's made it through the decades.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got most of its original panels.
Yeah.
And they're not totally FUBAR.
No. And the panels that have got the lumpy paint on them have been done like that to preserve them, I'm assuming.
That looks like that super rust preventative paint that you put on.
Yeah, and that's great, isn't it? That's great.
Well,
because in actual fact, it's preserving it, and these are rare now. And if you look down the side, it's a relatively straight car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I mean, shall we stop for a little ad break and then sort of give it the once over and see where we're at with the condition of the shell?
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a great idea.
A little look indoors.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Well, let's do that. Oh, you've got a biscuit. I'm going to have one of those biscuits as well. That looks like a great idea.
I can tell you're thinking about this twice.
About
that bit.
Right, so we are back. I am presenting, and we have a brown Ford Cortina Mark III GXL. And I know you want to get inside it, but I just want to point out the twin headlights, the lovely curved bumper that curves round the bit where the indicator is. It's very familiar.
It's very square American style front end quad headlights. It's crunchy all over.
Yeah.
It's the Coke bottle sort of shaped one, which I've only just learned about, which is now Gus mentions it to me, I can completely see it. I've never heard that before.
It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Crunchy paint from one end to the other.
Bold move by Ford. Oh, can we just mention these beautiful wing mirrors?
Yeah.
They're on the doors, in actual fact. They're chrome and they look fast, and they are a sort of cone that is on a chrome arm. It's sort of aluminium. Oh no, it's chrome also. Chrome cone with the mirror in it, and They're special, aren't they?
They are. They're special, and they are pointy, and they are very solid.
Yeah.
And it's something which you can imagine was only put on cars until they worked out. So that's a very good way to maim or hurt somebody as you clip their elbow. It's going to give you more than just a light graze.
Shall we endeavour to open the bonnet and have a look
Okay.
at the glory of the Ford Pinto?
Oh, it's going to be a Pinto.
I would have thought it is. A GLX?
I suppose it would be.
Would be, yeah.
2 litre or 1600.
Well, I know for a fact that this car is badged 1600, but I know that that's 2 litre one. I don't think you'd know by looking at it, but I talked to Matt.
can't remember how to tell the difference. I
don't think you can tell the difference unless it's got it written on the top.
Well, okay, so I'm going in to find the mechanism that opens the bonnet, but this is kind of risky area, Gus, because I'm opening the door. I'm deliberately not looking inside because I know we're coming back to that.
The smell, it smells of vinyl, doesn't it? In here.
Vinyl.
It does smell of vinyl. So we're inside the car. We were going to do the engine first, but we seem to have managed to plonk ourselves in, haven't we?
We've been drawn in.
We've been drawn into the...
I knew this was going to be a problem.
Wow.
Once you open that door, it's Pandora's box, isn't it? You know,
it really is.
You cannot do anything. But now, look at this. I'm sat.
So Will was
in the driving
seat. This is so familiar to me, the interior of this car.
Well, this is time warp stuff for me.
Well, it's bizarre. This is like...
I've been in one of these since I was a teenager. I really haven't.
Funky. No,
because
not since we got rid of ours. But ours was exactly the same as this inside. Black vinyl with fake wood.
Yeah,
plastic fake wood.
Little aluminium trims around the outside of it, and you know.
But can we not talk about? Let's talk about these dials. They're so American. They're so racy, aren't they?
It's literally the first thing that crosses your mind. You sit in position in the car, and you look out the windscreen, and then your view naturally comes down past the vinyl covered, kind of swoopy sort of shaped top valance on the dashboard, down to these clocks, and the clocks I can only describe as being like. They're quite low down. They're just above the steering column itself. They seem to be like deep into tubes. And on the front fascia, there's a lovely sort of silvery type finish, which looks to me like paint at the moment. And I haven't put my glasses on. The clock set in there. 3 clocks, far right hand side. The clock, as in telling the time.
Yeah. These slash cut ones were a thing.
Yeah.
They only lasted a certain number of years before they changed. But ours
before they
was
went out of fashion.
Isn't there something about the height of them? It feels a bit long-legged and American, doesn't it?
It does.
Do you know what I mean?
Really
if it was Italian, there'd be a massive, great rev counter up here.
Bang there.
Yeah.
But this is how do you describe it? They're deep within. It kind of feels a little bit spaceshipy.
Yeah. It's very 70s, isn't it?
Very safe. Yeah,
very 70s.
Here you go. The 1970s spaceship-looking car. But what we're going to do is make it feel a little bit less spaceshipy. Is going to make this bit look like wood.
Yeah, but it
didn't take
acres of plastic in here, isn't there?
There is tons of it, and it smells.
Oh, goodness, I've just noticed the headliner. That is the amount of hours I spent staring at. From the back seat, staring at this and not quite getting it into focus.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because you stare at it and you can't. I'm still doing it now. You can't see how far away it is.
Oh, I know. Yeah, because it's all sort of perforated.
Yeah.
You've got no actual sort of focal point. Yeah. Like when you're staring through a heated windscreen.
Exactly that. So let me just describe this. So the headline again is vinyl, but it's vinyl with very, very small pinpricks in lines across it, like a sort of. Like a badly thatched head.
You're describing it beautifully. You said it's like thousands of pinpricks all in holes. And I've just spotted a bit, which is not like 1,000 pinpricks in lines. I'm just pulling. I've seen this already. I'm just going to show Gus. I'm just lowering the visor on the driver's side of the car so we can see what's above it.
Yeah, that's a very big pinprick, isn't it?
I think there's been rodents living in this car.
I think you might be right, yeah.
That is a hole which is the size of the palm of my hand. Now, either something's caught fire or and burned a hole. It looks like fire damage.
It might be, actually.
It's funny, isn't it? Or There's been squirrels living in here.
Maybe squirrels. There's a few other little holes. Can you just describe this steering wheel? Because this steering wheel is a thing of speed and elegance,
That's
isn't it?
speed, elegance, and space age as well. So large diameter, thin rim around the outside, which is held together with insulation tape.
Has that leather on there?
It seems to have a sort of leather cover.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, hand-stitched leather cover.
Ours wasn't. Ours was very definitely plastic.
Yeah,
but we had the same, this thing here. This is what I'm talking about. The sort of V in the middle.
Yeah, the boomerang shape bit.
Exactly that.
Which is made very much of plastic.
Of course.
But it's emulating the aluminium centre from a sort of like racing car type wheel. But it's just in a V from the centre going out on 2 prongs to the outer rim with a recess running along those spokes. It's got a plastic inner in it with fake, which looks like aluminium, with fake drillings in it. 1, 2, 3.
Is that your phone, William?
No, my phone's in your car over there.
Oh my God, that must be my phone.
This one's got a car phone.
It might have. How could I not have turned that off?
Gus, that's your phone.
Sorry. Let's get back to sorry, the steering wheel. So the fake holes.
It's got the 3 fake holes in the plastic centre. 3 fake holes. 1, 2, 3. The largest one's like 22 mil. The centre one's like 16 mil, and the smaller one looks about sort of 11 mil. This is a fake aluminium racing car wheel made out of plastic and put on a Ford. That's what that is.
But the overall feeling in here is very laid back and very American, isn't it?
Well, hold on. Hold on. Let me just.
You're going to go to your deck chair setting in You're going to break that. Just leave it. You're going to break it.
No, it'll be okay.
I don't think it is. I think I can feel that's going to break.
That. Yeah. No, it's a bit upright. Yours might feel reclined in deck chair like mine feels.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you work, that's why they're so low down. So when you're sitting low down and lean back, you can see them all properly.
My elbow out the window.
Yeah, you're
my
cruising.
Head's in line with the B post.
Yeah,
I'm cruising. Yeah. Probably back in the days as well, I would have been smoking at Benson and Hedges.
Almost definitely,
Back in the days when smoking was the normal in cars like this.
Let's have a look at these switches. That's a different one. I remember these big plastic toggles on there.
They do look like somebody's made them out of phyllo.
And the lights came on. That's interesting. That works. Yeah. Well, I suspect it. I mean, it runs, doesn't it? He uses it. So it's got a rev counter, and it's got a speedo, and it's got a clock. And that's it for gauges, isn't it? There's nothing else.
Literally it. Does that say 71,000 on there?
And this is GLX. Let me have a look. Yeah, 71,000. So overall, interior-wise, I mean, if we're talking about
67,000.
67,000.
That's a low mileage, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If that's genuine,
it's a pretty high mileage for a car of this period.
Well, that's.
But in today's things, that's a low mileage. You go, 67,000. It's like, well, but then if from the 1970s.
But if you think what you'd have to do, I mean, if we're looking at this car, just appraising this interior, if this is something, because we know that this car's actually for sale, don't we?
We do,
and we know how much Matt wants for it, don't we?
Yes, because you did tell
me. He wanted around 5 for it, didn't he?
Right.
That's what he said.
Okay. Now I can immediately see why he only wants 5 for it.
Yeah, I can as well.
Yeah.
Because although it's in a good state, everything needs work, doesn't it?
Everything's baggy.
Everything needs
Everything
work.
you look at. Headlining.
Seats.
The rear seats, well, they've had the least use of all, so they probably look the best. But, the tops of the seats, you can see there's, ultraviolet degradation across the top of where the cloth meets the vinyl.
Yeah.
I bet the vinyl on that parcel shelf is a bit shrunk as well. I'm going to have a closer look in a minute.
But the back, actually, from the front seats backwards, it looks much more presentable, doesn't it?
It does.
And these seats, let me just explain these seats. So they've got vinyl edges, but the actual bit you sit on is cloth.
No, the bit I'm sitting on is made out of springs.
Oh, is it?
It is quite pointy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's got a very, very thin cloth covering.
Oh, okay.
I think everything between the cloth and what should be between the cloth and the springs
perished.
Is now probably a sort of fine yellow powder in the bottom of the car or in the bottom of the seat itself.
And I can see that sponge, that sort of yellow sponge.
Yeah,
the seat as well. But the back is okay. But so the seats need attention. The headlining would definitely need doing, which is a a pain, isn't it, to do a headlining?
Well,
it is a pain, but I'm sure you
considering
could get it.
every time we try to do a headlining, it seems like you're trying to defy gravity.
But the difference with these is that you're not sticking these in. This is like putting one in a minor, which actually is quite easy, isn't it? 'Cause you've just got to tension it, haven't you?
It's a much easier job. These, you've got these little wire rails that go in above. They hold it up. It's not glue.
No, it's not glue.
It's
That's
stretched,
where we come.
and it actually looks better for it. You've actually got something which, from the inside of it, you can say, "Oh, that looks like the inside of a soft top."
Yeah, I think that's why they used to do it. I mean, we talked about this with vinyl roofs before because this has got a vinyl roof, hasn't it? We did say that, but it's that mimicking of a soft top, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that was a carriage. That's how it used to be. That was the classy way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that, although it has that sort of...
I think it's a good look. I mean, it's definitely a look which over the years we've lost, because most headlinings nowadays are like a fixed, fibrous sort of board of some type.
Yeah.
And it's all very contoured and very shaped and looks the mutts.
Yeah.
Whereas this is obviously from the 70s, where it's like, that technology hasn't arrived yet, so we're going to stick with what we know.
But do you think now that headlinings are... They're not something that you necessarily... notice, whereas I remember we did a Citroen XM. We went to France and bought it.
One.
Yeah. Do you remember the headlining was a beautiful dark blue, velour type thing.
Velour,
and it was
almost
magical,
almost moleskin-y sort of thing.
And I remember getting in it thinking, this feels so classy.
Well, that car did though, didn't it? I mean, that car
with the wood, that was beautiful wood on it.
Yeah. I mean, that was a nice car. The seats were a very interesting shape and very comfortable.
Yeah.
Whereas these.
Well, these are 1970s, aren't they? And
need some work.
They're pre-bucket, aren't they? They're built for comfort, aren't they? I guess that's what this car was essentially doing, wasn't it?
Well, I think this car, because it never really was it. I mean, a lot of people would argue this point. You can imagine sort of waddling along in this, in your big fat comfy seats with your elbow out the window.
Yeah.
With your plastic sun they'll stick on things where you have your name on it.
Yeah, your wife's
so this
name.
one will say Will and Gus, or Gus and Will, depending on who's would have to have it sort of changed around. In that sort of green or blue colour. Looking cool.
But there is another side of this, isn't there? Because they did a GT. Have we explained that this is a 4-door? We probably haven't, have we? But they did do a 2-door, and the GT I think was a 2-door, and that would have been playing on that American muscle thing, which I think is interesting, because at that time in the UK we were very much Europe centric with our sports cars, weren't we? We were little European sports cars. We were Lotuses, we were MGs,
and Austin Healey's,
exactly,
Triumphs. Sports cars was something Europe did really well.
Yeah, really well. And go on,
for our multinational market, but in Europe it's like.
So this is trying to convert those sort of, you've got a GT. It's got the new overhead cam Ford engine in it, and they're trying to promote that American muscle thing. And I'm not sure that ever really took on in the UK.
Well, come on, so
depending on who you talk to.
Ford were big on it, weren't they? So it was this, followed by then the Capri.
Yeah. Oh,
when did the Capri
come
out in relation to this? Oh, the Capri came out in like 68. So
the
Capri was already on it.
Yeah.
I've just found this. Listen.
Should we go and have a look?
Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we go and have a look at our big fat miniature muscle car engine?
Shall we have a bit of a break before we get into the engine?
Yes.
Come on, let's have what we would laughably call
an ad break.
An ad break.
Your opportunity to advertise with us.
So we are back.
We're back. We've had our ad break. Thank you very much.
And we have worked out where the bonnet popper is, because it's in the traditional place.
It is. Yeah, I found it.
Yeah.
And it made that very, very satisfying clunk noise.
Yes. And here we go. We are just about to go in.
Hunt the flapper to release the thing.
I can even picture exactly that, where it is and what it looks like.
Yeah. I would always remember it as being, if I had to, it would be between the R and the D.
Yes.
Because, the reason I got to find where it was a little bit of research and
development.
Oh,
my goodness. That's okay. So I can tell instantly how you tell whether it's a 2 litre or 1600 car. It's quite technical.
This one seems to make it very, very easy. there's a massive sticker on the front of the cam belt, which is the cam belt cover, which is a tin cam belt cover. It says 2 litre HC.
Yes.
It says 2000 HC.
High compression.
Huh? That's brilliant, isn't it? Immediately.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I'd always look under a Ford bonnet like this and think, there's enough room to have a barn dance either side of the engine.
There is, but it's not ridiculously small, is it? It's actually quite a big engine.
This has got a lot more to it as well, because that's Jan's. Well, I don't know if it's Jan's.
Well, I don't think it's a standard manifold by any sense.
Definitely, absolutely, definitely.
It's sort of hand bent steel piping rather than cast iron, which I think the original
standard one would have been cast iron.
Yeah.
And where it goes into a single down tube would have been around about where pot number 3 is.
Yeah.
That's what the original ones look like. I messed around with Pintos quite a lot when I was younger. I put them in all sorts of other things like Land Rovers.
Yeah. It's a nice system that someone's put on there.
This tubular exhaust header was all the rage in the 70s.
Yeah.
Jan speed, has it got a Jan speed on it? That was the first question. It's like, well, this one, I don't know if that one is a Jan speed or...
Well, Burton Tune used to do all Pintos and Crossflows. They were in Essex. They were the kings of tuning these. And they were a very tunable engine, actually.
Well, that type of exhaust header was half of your tuning stuff, because each of these tubes, where they leave the exhaust port on the head and then go into the first collector.
Yeah, it's all about equidistance, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And you get the reverb, the sonic reverb, knocking back up that tube to help with the compression as the valves close and open.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it exactly, but that's the back pressure thing that people used to go on about.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I mean, it was the same with the Crossflows, wasn't it? You'd put a bigger double chamber Weber carburetor on it, and you'd put a fast header system on it, and that
the Crossflow would be. I mean, they were phenomenal engines, the Crossflow.
They were.
This was
I've got a love
obviously
for
the bigger sibling in the family.
But I always thought, I don't know if it's true, but I always thought that this was a sort of heavier, more cumbersome affair, which was less tunable than a Crossflow. And don't forget that those Crossflows were in all the Caterhams and the Lotus 7s as they were then. And when I was growing up, that was my aspiration. That was the goal to me, to have an engine as simple as that produced that sort of power. I loved it.
I remember with the Crossflows, it's like you'd always if you're ever in the scrapyard or you bought one of these cars, the first thing you would do, if you knew, is you would look behind where the engine mount bolts onto the engine, because the Lotus engine, the Lotus Cortina engine, or the Lotus engines, which were the iconic one to have, the ones that people really want nowadays, in the casting had cast into it the letter L.
Oh, really?
And that was what you looked for.
Oh, I
can't remember which side of the engine it was, but for those who are in the know, it'd be like, that's the Lotus engine.
Oh, I never knew that. I always thought the Lotus ones were twin cams, were twin cam heads on them.
No, that's a different bit of kit.
This Pinto, where it was given to Cosworth, and that's when Cosworth did twin cams for these, and that was the one that ended up being turbocharged for the later.
Oh, is that how that engine all came about? Was it?
Yeah, it was Cosworth who did the.
So that was still based on the original sort of Pinto block.
Yeah. Well, I think it was the Pinto block. Yeah. So it must have been a strong engine, mustn't it?
I know that these engines here, I think they were considered like a safe engine. So if your cam belt broke, you didn't bury all your valves through the pistons. Yeah.
Is that a thing?
So they're kind of like, it's like anybody could own them, mess around with them, and you're kind of like not going to run too much of a risk of doing your own routine maintenance on it, and then costing yourself thousands of pounds nowadays, probably hundreds of pounds then having to get another engine and stick it in there because you just destroyed the whole thing by putting the cam belts on two cams.
But if you look at it, it's the sort of engine that you'd quite happily take out and take apart, isn't it? Without a shadow of a doubt.
Very, very simple engines to work on. Beautifully so.
Overhead cam engine,
Yeah. This is the sort of engine that would have got a lot of people into finding their feet with basic car maintenance.
Yeah, definitely. I remember my dad rebuilding ours, and one he put it back. He resprayed it as well. Resprayed the whole. It was an estate. Resprayed the whole thing in 2-pack in the garage. And I remember him taking it out and being very proud that he'd got the speedo to go up to 100 mile an hour on going down on one of the Peace Pottage hill down towards Brighton.
I bet he was still pleased to be alive.
but it's
going down the hill towards Peace Pottage
with all the family in it. Yay!
got the old girl up to got the old girl up to a ton.
Fantastic.
Oh,
but suffice to say, this has got history, hasn't it? This engine's got history. It went in everything afterwards, didn't it? People used it for everything,
and it lasted for so many years as well. All the Sierras used it, and I don't know where it went after. I certainly know with the Mondeos they moved on to different stuff and front wheel drive and this and that.
Yeah, but it was.
Just looking at the rest of the engine bay, though.
Yeah, well, if you
glorious blue Ford Pinto engine.
Yeah,
but the rest of the engine bay is kind of like nicely original, isn't it?
Well, it is, isn't it? But I do think though, if we were thinking of this car to take it on,
that's a whole heap of stuff that needs doing.
It all needs to be painted one way or another, doesn't it?
It's just all tired. It looks like it's all there.
It doesn't look rusty, does it?
No.
It really doesn't look rusty.
So I'm looking down the front chassis leg. So I'm on the driver's side of the car and I'm peering down, and they've got some very substantial front chassis legs which hold the front clip in place for the coil spring front suspension.
Yep.
And the top of the front chassis leg all looks very good, even right back under the master cylinder, where inevitably there'd have been a lot of brake fluid spilt over the years, taking the paint off, letting the car go rusty. Feeling along the bottom of this chassis leg, it's all really smooth. It's really smooth and sort of rust and bump and sort of repair free.
It's good this side as well. There's a sort of box section in there, isn't there, which is pressed in, which everything is bolted onto, and it's an interesting construction, isn't it? I mean, this really is your classic pressed monocoque, isn't it?
But still running that main chassis member through the monocoque construction.
Yes,
So it's like they haven't quite had the technological breakthrough to make the monocoque
to press it in,
spread the load completely through. The chassis member's still there, proper.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's an interesting time in automotive design, isn't it? They were sort of getting there, and obviously they're still playing that balance between economy. You know, they don't want to spend too much money making the car, so they've got to use the old technology. They're not going to push it too far.
Yeah.
But it's moving on.
Kind of Ford they were the leaders. Originally, Henry Ford, and his have any colour you want so long as it's black. And mass production was Ford's. They developed it.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're like this would have been like 70 years down the line from that, but they're still got that simple way of producing things.
Yeah. But I think I'm right in saying these were made in Dagenham, weren't they? These were pushed out in Dagenham, and probably the Taunus version would have been in Cologne, I think.
I think that sort of sounds about right. Yeah, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'll go with you on that.
There was a lot of pride in this, wasn't there? If you were British, you'd consider this to be a British car. You would never, although this design is completely American.
Yeah.
And I think that's another line between the Mark II and the Mark III. This is, looking wise, this is very much an American car.
Yeah.
But there was still a great deal of pride about Ford being a British company, which was clever of them.
It was made by some guy called Derek working at Dagenham.
Yeah. Couldn't get more English than that.
No, you can't.
No. Amazing.
Yeah. Humphrey.
Yeah. Is that more English?
I don't know. Henry's pretty English, isn't it? Yeah.
Henry, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few of those, at least 8 that I know of. There's a couple of Williams, but I think he was French.
Yeah, I think he was French. Yeah. So what we're saying then, if we are looking at this car, I'm getting an overall picture of this car now, and I am thinking the amount of work. I think it would be lovely if you were a dedicated Ford Cortina lover. This is a great car for you, but even just looking in this engine bay, you look at the interior. The interior needs quite a lot of work. This engine bay, if you were going to tidy it up to make proper money out of it, it's really got to be pretty. I mean, Fords are worth a lot of money, aren't they? Old Fords, but they've got to be.
They are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
They also cost a lot of money to get to that stage. And if you're cash poor and time rich, it's you're not really any better off because it's time and money.
Yes.
Should we? Let's just gauge that.
Okay.
The engine bay area.
And what you would do with it? I think you'd want to paint the whole thing so that it was one colour or the other, wouldn't you?
Coming back to what you were saying a minute ago, so yes.
Whether that would be black or brown, I don't know. But if you're going to do that, that's all got to come out, hasn't it?
That engine bay down there needs a complete strip down, clean up, fresh paint, because I think this car is worth the full restoration.
I think it probably. Shall we have a look underneath?
Shall we go a travel along the length, because we're getting very excited. We've seen the inside of the car.
We've seen the engine bay.
The engine bay, and we've seen the general outside, which is shoddy but sound.
Yep.
Engine bay, tired.
Yeah.
But sound.
Yeah, I think that's the of everything we've seen so far. I would say preserved probably is a good way of describing it, isn't it?
Should we put that down as saggy? Sound.
Yes.
Because it's kind of there.
It is kind of there.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take much if you think about it. I mean, those front seats, the headlining. Mm-hmm. Not a lot after that, is there, really?
Yeah. Well, time and effort.
Time and effort, exactly. What are we going to... Shall we have a look underneath the car?
Let's do that.
Shall we close the bonnet?
I have seen...
You're going to have to do that. I've only got one hand.
Okay.
I've only got one hand and 9 fingers because I managed to slice one of my fingers yesterday. A very stupid accident.
He's turned up looking like an actor from Casualty with his one finger all bound up like a Christmas present. I've seen there's a trolley jack. Let me get the trolley jack.
Okay.
You've got an owie at the moment.
Okay, so let's get the trolley jack out. We'll put it under the back.
I would say,
and have
because we've already had a look in the engine bay, and we can see the condition of the front legs.
Yeah.
Let's jack the car up at the back.
Yeah, go along from the back along the sills, shall we?
There first.
Because as we know, I mean, we haven't said yet, but in actual fact, the plain reason, I'm sure everyone realises, the plain reason that there isn't many of these cars around, which is why they hold their value so much, is because they became worthless. They weren't worth doing up, and they just rotted away. They've just done what cars did in the 70s.
They often did that just, just everyday life, A lot of people would just use them, like they do now.
Yeah, exactly.
Use them until they won't work anymore.
Yeah.
Get another one.
Yeah, and then you park it up, it goes to a scrapyard, and I mean, just by the way that these cars were made and designed, the corrosion, anti-corrosion that's not going up, Will. Will's furiously pumping the jack, and it's not going anywhere.
I'm trying to put the handle up tight.
We had this trouble last time with the jack, didn't we?
No, that was trying to get it down.
Oh yeah, this is trying to get it.
This is a different.
It's a whole new, whole different.
I might say, can we see any sort of spray type lubricants anywhere to put into that bit?
Is it not moving then?
It sort of seems like the valve's not getting done tight to keep it going up.
Okay, so now... Oh yeah, it's going up now.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Did you have it under the diff? Yeah. I think it's working now.
You've got more... You're standing there. You're doing better than me.
Well, not necessarily, but I think it had another ouch.
Another turn left.
Yeah, another turn left on the.
I know. Oh.
That's it. It's going up. No, but what I was saying
Shall
is,
I take over the pumping? What with your sore finger and everything?
Yeah, that's very kind. With the if this was the end of its life in a scrapyard, within a year it would be serious degradation, wouldn't there? There would be serious amounts of rot on it if it wasn't being used. It was just getting wet.
Oh, just outside on your driveway. Well, back in 1982.
Yeah.
4, 6, 9, when this car would have been scrap
when it would have been unloved and used basically to its.
Oh, it would be. These things had a horrible sort of habit of just becoming terrible rot boxes.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I've got a torch.
Have you got a torch?
Yeah, look at this.
God, that is.
I'm not going to stick my head too far underneath.
No, because we're only pumped up for the. You can see. Well, it's got a new exhaust on it. It's got some new shocks on it, hasn't it?
Yeah. So we're both now led underneath the back of the car. And okay, first thing I sort of noticed is that remembering just how the rear suspension works on these Cortinas.
Well, this is revelation to me, because I remember these as being massive leaf springs on it.
Yeah,
and it's not.
No.
Our estate was leaf springs because my dad put assisters on it.
Right. Okay.
But so this is a saloon, not an estate, and that's really interesting.
It was kind of like, I mean, I would probably be brave to say, so that's a 4-bar linkage.
Yeah.
In a dynamic sense. So the centre bars come to the top of the diff and run off at 45 degrees, and the outer bars, which are below the axle, run from front to back parallel with each other.
Well, I would call these trailing arms, wouldn't you?
Yeah, trailing arm, and the top ones are like anti-twist.
Yeah,
and centralisers.
And so the trailing arm has a massive spring located on it at the front edge, and then a damper at the back, and that is the suspension. That's linked to the axle, and
it was a brilliant setup.
Yeah,
it was really. I mean, it looked. I remember looking at it at the time and going, "Whoa, that looks space age."
Yes. Well, that's a revelation to me. I never knew. I was expecting to see a set of leaf springs under here.
I've just remembered something else as well.
What's that? It's got that tie bar on the axle. Is that what you're saying about? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so it's got a tie bar that goes to the top of the axle to stop on both sides to stop it twisting.
And I think that. You see here, right? See this bolt that runs through here.
So we're looking at a bolt that runs onto the lower trailing arm. It's basically a bolt that goes through the rear section where it joins onto the axle. Yeah, go on.
Now, you see there's a big rectangular place on there.
Yeah.
If you stick your fingers into the bit of metal that's behind that.
Yeah.
Right. Sort of like here.
Yeah.
See what I'm doing it there.
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
you
feel that?
Yeah, it's got serrated.
Serrated raised edges like zigzags.
Yeah. You think that's adjustable?
I think that's so you can set the position of the axle forwards or backwards a notch.
What?
Or several notches to get your four-wheel alignment.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can set your axle up so it runs straight in the car.
Which is good.
Which is, it's quite handy. When you're travelling at speed, it's always good to know you're not travelling down the road sideways.
Well, that's great. I mean, let's start the Valence. The Valence has got quite a lot of rot in it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In a classic.
Oh, look up in this corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Big
hole.
You
big
could
hole.
Drive a motorcycle through there at speed.
So this is wheel side. Wheels on the driver's side, on the far side, and there's a big hole.
It's the inner panel of the rear valance, right on the very corner.
Yeah.
I'm lying on my back looking up at it. So there would be the seam where the rear valance meets the side valance, but then there's an inner skin. It's where those two join together. Well, I mean, there's a hole there that's the size of my flattened out hand.
Let's have a look at this side to see what this
one.
This one's actually all right in here. I wonder why
it is. Yeah.
It's, I mean,
dubious.
It is dubious, and the seam at the bottom is completely split apart, isn't it?
Is that the original panel, or has that been changed?
Looks like somebody. Yeah, you are. It looks like somebody's put another panel over the top of it, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. I think it is. Yes.
A little telltale MIG weld.
Yeah.
Spot there. There's other bits. So yeah, back end, inner valance, outer valance.
Yep. Fuel tank's nice. Looks actually new to me.
Well, it looks like a brand spanker.
Yeah, it does.
It's either a brand spanker or it's been. No, that's got to be a new tank.
I think it is a new tank.
That's in outstanding condition and doesn't seem to have, it seems to have one coat of silver paint on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's. I'm just trying to get this to sit on there so I can. I can't. can't relieve myself of the burden of this camera.
Yeah.
It's
difficult.
It's difficult doing everything at arm's length.
Okay.
Yes. So new exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
Let's have a look under
It's
the
got
rest of the car.
newish looking dampers.
Yeah, it's got.
I'm a little bit concerned that we shouldn't be that far underneath it, Gus.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Slightly dodgy jack.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go round the
Should
side.
we go and have a look down the sills?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll take this side.
Okay, well you might as well see as you're there.
Yeah.
These wheel trims, we haven't really mentioned those, but these wheel trims are they're just a sort of a chrome ring that goes round a pressed steel wheel, but I'm sure you can picture them in your minds if you know anything about these Cortinas. There's a little painted black section on the steel wheel. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so it's got 8 sections around the wheel on the 4 nuts.
And this is a proper blast from the past as well.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Style, chrome, everything. I'm just looking at the numbers that are pressed into this wheel as well. So this is a 13 by 5.5 J wheel.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, what it in the day would have been a pretty big car.
Yes.
Run on 13-inch rims. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing runs on 13-inch rims nowadays, does it? Nothing at all.
No, it's not even. I mean, the smallest rim you'd get now is 15, isn't it?
Yeah.
And as a standard, 15 standard, but 13 used to be absolutely bog standard, didn't it?
But yeah, 13 was the way of it all.
Yeah.
So forwards of my rear wheel on the driver's side of the car, I'm looking at a couple of things down here.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, as we were saying about the chassis member in this sort of, monocoque construction,
Yeah.
but it still has quite a substantial chassis member running from front to back in the car.
Yes.
Look at it, it's very, very, very visible as a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. It's normally me that does that, Gus.
I've literally just touched the brake pipe and it's come away in my
Stop
head.
pulling on things you can't afford. Oh, I thought I was never going to be able to say that to you.
In actual fact, it's. I would say it's pretty good. It's pretty good. This sort of semi-box section that's.
Oh, that's sound on my side.
It's sound on my side as well.
I can see the bushings for the rear suspension.
Yeah.
They all look sound.
I can't really see them this side, to be honest with you.
Handbrake cables. Well, those are, they look like relatively new.
Yeah,
just
they
a few
do, don't
years.
they? It's new exhaust on it, all the way to the front.
Yeah. Sill on my side very clearly has been replaced with what some people might call an oversill, a pop-on.
I wouldn't say that this one has actually,
Okay.
This looks original still, which is quite amazing.
Telltale signs on this side, like it could probably do with a fair bit more weld holding it in place.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's always quite worrying because you're not sure.
No, this is literally just popped on. There's a human, you could, it's an oversill.
Oh, yes, you can
somebody
see, you can almost get your finger through the seam behind it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
this is as well.
Yeah, that's
a clip-on seal.
Yeah, clip-on. No structural strength. So that's a big old issue. And no structural strength, and it's got a massive hole in it as well, where it's rusted through right on the very front, where it just meets the front wing. So that's an area of concern.
But this front, so we're now looking, I mean, Will's on the driver's side, I'm on the passenger side, I'm on the near side, but the bottom of the front wing, it was always the spot, wasn't it? Because that's where the water came in off the tyre.
Collection zone central.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pug in here, and also there's a very large hole in here.
Well,
but I would suspect that this seal's going here as well, this clipped-on seal. But this would have to come off. You'd have to have a look under there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. The seal's definitely they're definitely for full removal.
Yeah.
And look, but do you know, I have actually just found something which is interesting, and it's quite kind of reassuring because it hadn't occurred to me further back on the car. I found just next to the jacking point, so where the front wing on the driver's side joins the sill, just inboard of that on the floor pan where your heel would be inside the car for the throttle pedal. And there's actually been a plate welded on here, which has been continuously welded all the way around.
All right.
But it's the first thing I've seen that's, you know, where it's been patched. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we've got some holes in the rear valance, so it looks like the rear valance might have been replaced badly.
As
And the
have
sills-
the seals, yeah.
Yeah, and the sills are both, you know, in need of desperate repair.
Yeah.
But the floor pan of the car is not a sea of patches welded together.
It's not, is it? No.
No.
And in actual fact, this box section of it is an actual fact. It's very good, isn't it?
Yeah, that
It looks
mine's,
like that
the
might be-
chassis section on this side is really good. And
Yeah.
I'm just peering forwards now to the front suspension, which is, you know, that's again, you know, that's so it's an independent front clip which bolts onto the bodywork of the car.
Yeah, I can't really see.
And it's got a single wishbone on the bottom. It's got an A wishbone on the top.
But it's beefy though, isn't it?
Yeah, coil sprung
Yeah.
with the damper running up through the centre of the spring.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good setup.
And an
for this
anti-roll
day.
bar across the bottom as well, and a torsion bar. Oh no, that torsion. No, that's that's not. Well, it's torsion bar, but it's attached to the anti-roll bar. Oh, it's attached to the bottom wishbone as well, so it is a torsion bar.
Coming forwards to join you, Gus.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, anti-roll bar and you know, what's that one called that runs?
Well, that's a torsion bar, isn't it? Because it stops the bottom wishbone moving back, doesn't it? Effectively. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Proper American.
Yes.
American cars had front clips, didn't they? And
Yeah.
that is your classic
Yeah.
front clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. While we're down here,
Yes.
I mean, I'm just always have in my mind the consideration of what you would pay for this car. Oh,
Is that a good thing?
what you pay for this car, what you could get it for, but the amount of work in it. And a lot of the time, with something of this age that has never really ever been done up, has it? This car has never been done up. It's been kept in this state and brilliant, and it could still run, and you could still use it all the time. But
Yeah.
but if you wanted top money for this car, therefore everything would have to be done, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really, really would. So he wants $5,000 for this car.
Yeah. And then
How
the
much?
absolute top end, what would you think for these? 16, maybe? I don't know.
16.
If it was the best one in the world, maybe 20.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for the best one in the world, I mean,
It's a Ford.
you're very difficult to price. But between 16 and 20 would get you right up into the top
Yeah.
end of your not your average, your really good ones.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is 5, which gives you a gap of 10 to 14,000 to
But I don't
do
think
it all up and try and make some money. And
Yeah, maybe.
you never.
I don't think so. And I think because this one has never been done up, there's just, you'd have to go so far with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you
Everything
really
down here, everything. So we're now lying underneath the car, but everything would have to be blasted and painted, wouldn't it?
You'd look at a full bare metal respray for a start.
Yeah.
And just the metal work, you know, front valance, rear valance, sills, probably inner sills, some repair on the floor pans, all the other incidentals, the rear inner valance at the back as well.
Yeah, yeah.
You're looking at several thousand. You know, if you were to pay a garage several thousand pounds worth of welding, obviously we'd be doing this all ourselves. But you're still looking at a good couple of weeks work for one of us to get into all the welding work and to make a pretty nifty job of it to aim for that higher price.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're already running into problems because...
Well, you're never going to do it in the time we're allotted.
No.
Never. I mean, it's lovely, and I do think that you know, Matt's done exactly the right thing with this car, and he knows that with minimum maintenance, this will keep running for, you know,
for years.
For years.
I think
and it's fun.
I think he could probably do with putting some decent sills on it to make it to reduce the. I think that would make it a much safer car.
Yeah.
Which would be important for himself and for other road users.
Always thinking of others. That's lovely. No, but you're right.
Well, it pays to.
Yeah, of course it does, and it needs investigating. I mean, I know we've mentioned this before, but it's putting clip-on seals on and just spot welding them on, you're not addressing the problem, are you?
No, you're not.
You're really
not. It's like, you're just hiding it away.
Get to that another day.
Nobody will ever know.
Get to that another day, and we know that sometimes that another day doesn't really go.
No, because it's the day you've gone over a humpback bridge a little bit too enthusiastically. Now none of your doors shut properly.
I do think that whole thing about not seeing a problem is terrible, isn't it?
Well,
I like the fact that that hole in your Range Rover,
Yeah.
is only visible when you open the door, and when you close the door, and if I got in that car 100 times because it's a back door, it would not affect the way I felt about that car.
Because on the Range Rover, it's nowhere near a structural part.
Exactly, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, it just doesn't matter.
No.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're digressing.
Yeah, we are.
But I think, as a conclusion for this car, I think we're probably both in the same mind, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's too much for us, isn't it?
It's too much for us to take on as something you can make money out of.
Yeah.
But it's a great little owner-driver, classic car, tinkerer, player. It's a fab-looking car.
It's great.
It still retains its original colour.
Yeah.
And it still retains its original everything, almost, apart from the front wing paints.
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous little car. And for me, it'd be great because I'd love to. Is that one you can knock about in?
Exactly, yeah.
And
well, it's what we always said. It's the holy grail. It's a rolling restoration, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the key, isn't it? You could just get at it when you wanted to, and enjoy
not take it out for a drive.
Yeah.
Or do something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to do? Sunday afternoon, drive or fix the lights.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Get that light working better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Nice. Lovely. What a privilege to see it. Because you just don't see them on the road anymore, do you?
No, you don't.
You just
really don't.
And that's really special. It's been amazing.
And it's also it's a privilege to see this car. But Gus, you found an old friend of mine.
I know, that's weird.
Who I haven't seen for years.
Now you've got to find an old friend of mine now.
That might be slightly more tricky. It's always more difficult when you're actually looking, isn't it?
But it was only chance. He was the first person who came to us after we started doing the podcast. He was the first person to come and say, I've got a Mark III Cortina. Do you want to come and have a look at it? I didn't know he knew you.
Yeah.
I didn't know till last night that he knew you.
There you go. But you answered the message. So to anybody else that knows us or not, if you have an interesting car that you wouldn't mind us crawling around and try and sort of, having a look at it, talking about it, and whatever it is we do it. Let's do it. Get in touch.
Get in touch, because it's brilliant. And we're hungry for them as well. We need cars to come and see.
Interesting, fun, even boring, non-fun cars.
Yeah, any car, really. But this has been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The mighty Ford Cortina.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's all jacked up at the back end. Remember that? Yeah, they used to jack them up with jag axles in. That's what it looks like.
We're going. Thank you. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Will's got a car for me to look at. And maybe a friend. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, we'll see.